welcome to What Are You Reading, a podcast with the Public Library of Mount Vernon in Knox County. I'm Christie.
And I'm Katie.
And today, as a part of the summer reading program for the 2024 season, we have a theme about adventure. So we put our heads together and we thought of all of these awesome titles of works that were adventure. And something that neither of us had read in a long time and we hadn't talked about before on our podcast was Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. And because this is a summer reading program and we're celebrating reading and all the adventures you can take just by opening up a book or putting in your headphone, we decided to also do a book giveaway. So as of today, June 24th, you can stop into the Public Library of Mount Vernon, Knox County to the Mount Vernon Branch and pick up a free copy while supplies last. So all of you at home, you can pick up one of these two. And this is the illustrated version as well. And it's just a nice heavy copy that you can, take home and enjoy the story after you've watched our podcast and, read along with us. So we do want to start by saying this was written in 1873. So we're
by a French author.
Yes. So we have a lot going on here. But I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with Around the World in 80 Days because it is a classic, very, popular at its time. And then it's something that I was talking to our assistant director, Cassandra, and she also read it as a younger person. So it's definitely something that we've grown up with.
Yeah, and it's one of those stories that gets remade periodically. So before we turn the cameras on, I talked about the Chipmunks had a kind of Around the World in 80 Days movie, and I think, was it Jackie Chan?
I think so.
There's a version of the story with Jackie Chan in it. Yeah,
I saw a lot of stills from the 1953 version, film version. So it's had a lot of iterations, and I can see why, because this is a really exciting adventure, and once you get started. So we always preface it once you get the ball rolling. The setup is extensive.
It is. But once they actually start their journey, then it starts picking up. Jules Verne is very descriptive of everything that's surrounding our characters. So it's definitely armchair travel. This book was obviously written for people who have never gone around the world. So,
I think that's a really good point because you had made a joke about how we know what every blade of grass looks like, but we have no idea about what one of the characters looks like. And it's kind of true. So having the illustrations definitely helps because you're kind of filling in the blanks sometimes on some of the characters, which leads us to, we'll tell you a little bit about it. So in case you aren't familiar, it is following Phileas Fogg, and he is a London gentleman, so he's pretty well off. And he is meticulous, and he's very set in his ways, and he has very specific habits. And he hires a valet whose name is Jean Passepartout, and he is a Frenchman who's had a variety of jobs. He's been a circus performer. He is, he's been a servant for others before, and he's just looking for someone who's relaxed. Like, he wants to enjoy his life now and not be so stressed. And spoiler alert, he picked the wrong person. After reading the Daily Telegraph that a new railroad in India has been made, and theoretically you could travel around the world, of course Fogg is enthralled with this idea. And he stops at his members-only club that he is a part of, that's for gentlemen, called the Reform Club. And in discussing this, he makes a wager for half of his fortune, which at this time is, the wager itself is for 20,000 pounds, which in 1873 is a lot of money. So he makes this wager at the club. They leave that night, and adventure ensues. We meet a lot of really colorful characters. We travel around the world. So shortly after the departure, we incorporate a little bit of mystery with a bank robbery. So around the time that Fogg is getting ready to leave, there's a bank robbery. And the assailant looks exactly like Fogg. So not only is Fogg and Passepartout traveling around the world, but they are being joined by a member of the police who is hiding out, who's in disguise, and is trying to capture Fogg for this crime that he thinks he committed.
Yep. And he has a time limit as well, because he can only arrest him in a in a British owned area, and the warrant keeps just missing him. And then eventually he does have to make a decision. Am I going to continue to follow them even though I don't have my warrant yet?
Yes. And that causes a lot of anxiety and stress, obviously, for the reader, because while Passepartout and Fogg do not know this, we know what's going on. So Mr. Fix is the police officer who's undercover, and so we know he's barely missing him, but they have no idea. There's some really interesting hijinks that they get involved with, and it's really interesting to hear what those kind of hijinks were, what travel was like in 1873.
Yep. And a lot of unforeseen complications happen, which we won't go into detail about. And they pick up a couple of people on the way. And one thing that I noticed and kind of admired about Fogg is he is completely unflappable.
Yeah.
Because, I'll ruin one of them for you.
Spoiler
alert. The finished railroad was not exactly finished. So then it's like, oh, how are we going to travel these 200 miles without a train?
Yeah.
And everybody else is running around like, oh no, what are we going to do? And Fogg is like, that's fine. We're just, we'll just get an elephant and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, and every time there's something like that, he's just like, eh.
Which is so amazing because he is such a creature of habit when he's home, in London. So to see his character development through the book is really interesting too, because he does change so much from this journey, and his life is changed in many, many ways. And again, we won't spoil if he actually makes it around the world in 80 days and is able to fulfill the wager or not. You'll have to read to find that out, but it is such a thrilling ride. This copy, I know I mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast, but this copy of the book is awesome. If you are able to get your hands on it, if you want to read Around the World in 80 Days, this is such a great copy because it does have those illustrations, which were very useful. And, we've discovered some stuff because of these illustrations. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll actually be able to see here just an example. If you're not watching us and you're just listening to us, a lot of these plates of these illustrations use a lot of cross-hatching and things like that. So they're very detailed, very, very nice black and white pictures of events that happen in the books. I will also mention that I do love the, the headings underneath the chapters. Because it's just so fun. It'll say, chapter 25, in which a slight glimpse is had of San Francisco. So it kind of gives us, I'm a huge fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it'll say, in which the gang,
Yeah.
So it kind of gave us that. We're following the gang. We're to see what hijinks they get into in each continent and each country that they cross through.
Yeah, so. And if and when Fix makes his move.
Yes. Is Fogg going to get arrested?
Is he the bank robber?
Is he the bank robber? We don't, what is going on here? So yeah, there's a lot to discover in this, and we hope you're able to stop by and pick up a copy and enjoy this along with us. So happy summer reading. We're really excited about this year's theme, and we hope that you're able to stop in and join us, and that you've enjoyed the previous things we've had going on all the month of June. Summer reading will be wrapping up in July. So definitely, stop in and check out some books, enter some prize, to win some prizes, pick up a copy of this book and just read along with us.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.